6 minutes to start us off.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Robson, for your attendance here at committee today. Appreciate your comments and the insight that you have and also that your organization provides. In a recent report that you co-authored, you suggest that the Carney government is poised to rack up a massive deficit of over $92 billion this fiscal year. And as you know, this is almost double what has been forecasted from within the government itself. The independent Parliamentary Budget Officer also recently told the Government Operations and Estimates Committee that he doesn't know if the government currently has any fiscal anchors, which causes a considerable degree of concern, or at least it should. Given these realities, can you communicate to the committee whether your projection of the federal deficit has risen?
We haven't updated since we did those numbers, which were based on a variety of sources, including some platform commitments that may or may not come to pass. Just tie this together with the topic of investment and productivity. I am concerned that the growth of government spending and government borrowing over the past a decade has had something to do with the fact that our investment rates have been so low. During most of that time, the economy was operating at capacity. We've got a bit of slack now, but for most of that period, as the high inflation that we endured for a while kind of illustrated, the economy was pretty much working at capacity. And if the economy is working at capacity, for every dollar you spend in a given area, could be government, could be other things as well, like consumption and residential housing. Necessarily, it's going to come from somewhere else where you otherwise might have been able to invest. And when I look at the low investment rates in Canada over the period we've been talking about, I do think that some crowding out as a result of the growth of government spending and the amount of borrowing that was absorbing saving probably has something to do with it. So when I look at the fiscal trajectory, I have a few things in mind. One of the things I have in mind, and I hope we'll get to this, is the possibility that we could make some tax changes that I think would be helpful for investment. But in addition to that, and kind of as a precondition, it'd be nice to have government taking up a little bit less of the share of funds that's available in the economy every year, because we do need more investment, and it's got to come from somewhere, and a smaller government would make a bit more room for higher investment. Okay,
so getting back to my question, you predicted that there would be a $92 billion deficit. Is that a number that you still stand beside or behind? You had also indicated in that report that you used a more optimistic Bank of Canada scenario and that there was a more pessimistic. If you were to look at the worst case scenario that was also provided by the Bank of Canada, where would that land you as far as a deficit projection?
I can follow up with a number if that's of interest to you, because we did use the more optimistic projection, as you point out. We have not updated those numbers. I look forward to the fall budget, and I hope that we will see numbers that are less than those, but that was the best we could do with the information we had at the time.
Okay. When you look at the reluctance of Canadians to invest in workers, is it actually a machinery and equipment investment that's missing, or is it an outflow? You made one comment that you think the economy is actually functioning at capacity. Is it because we're doing low value added work, or is the part that we're missing the high valued manufacturing?
When you look at, I mentioned this look around the world to see the countries that have high levels of capital per worker and high incomes. And certainly when you look at the countries that are in that favorable position, you do see that the capital endowment tends to be reflected in high productivity and high wages with workers that are essentially using tools that are newer, more up to date than ours. And so it seems to be a very strong rule of economic development that it's an essential precondition that you have a good endowment of capital per worker. I think that Canadian businesses have been, business investment has fallen in a number of areas as a result of many circumstances. Just for the sake of highlighting one that I think we can do something about, I'll highlight taxes. I mean, people say a lot of things about Canada being, a colder climate, population dispersed in certain ways, more risk averse. Those things may all be true, but why did it get worse over the last little while? I think one reason why we've seen U.S. investment leap ahead in the last few years, going back to their tax reform of 2017, is that they really did some important tax changes that made domestic investment more rewarding. And some of the investment that we saw in the United States after that tax reform probably did come from Canada because it was designed to repatriate capital. And when people have looked at the investment performance of businesses on either side of the border following those reforms, it seems clear that U.S. businesses were investing more. Canadian companies in similar lines of work did not seem to do the same thing. And so it's very likely that some investment from Canada went south of the border to pursue those opportunities.
Since Mr. Carney became our Prime Minister, we've seen $60 billion of investment flee our country and end up in other jurisdictions, primarily in the United States. Do you think that's driven because of government policy or legislation, like very punitive bills like C-69, which prevent resource development in our country, or what would you attribute that to?
It's probable that the environment for natural resource investment in Canada has been worse than in the United States in a way that has affected investment performance. Over the past decade, what I've been talking about the last 10 years, many of you will recall, some with a fair amount of pain, that there was a big collapse in the price of oil in 2014. And so fossil fuel extraction everywhere in the world suffered at that point, including in Canada. But one of the starkest points of contrast between the United States and Canada since then is that the resource industries in the United States have come back far more than the resource industries in Canada. I mentioned that there are some difficulties in comparing the two economies. The structure of the energy industries is different, but it's very striking that Canada did not recover the same way that the United States did. So I think that if we can get some of the problems that are afflicting major projects out of the way, we would certainly see a better performance there. And those are very high value added industries, very capital intensive industries. They do affect machinery and equipment investment as well. So I think that would make a difference.
And by
Mr.
the problems,
Falk, I'm sorry, we're 50
legislation,
seconds over now. So I'm going to move on to the next speaker.